you ever wonder where the water from your kitchen faucet comes from? If you live in the Treasure Valley, there's a very good chance that your water came from the Boise River. About 1 out of 3 homes gets water that comes directly from the Boise River. The other 2 out of 3 homes get water from wells that tap into water stored underground. But even this groundwater originally flowed underground from the Boise River. So in the end, most of us drink water that came from the Boise River system. Therefore, to answer where your faucet water comes from, you need to understand where the Boise River comes from. Before that, though, there are 2 important concepts to review. The first concept is the water cycle. The water cycle explains how water is recycled over and over. Clouds form from water vapor, which is water that evaporated and is in the form of a gas. As water vapor cools, it changes from a gas to either a liquid to form raindrops or a solid to form snow. Rain and snow are 2 types of precipitation. When snow falls, it collects on the ground until temperatures warm up enough to melt it. After the snow melts or when it rains, the water either soaks into the soil or runs downhill to a river. The cycle is complete when water evaporates back into the sky to form new clouds, and the water cycle starts over. The water cycle carries water all around our planet, but we never receive any new water on Earth. The water we have today is the same amount as what was available when dinosaurs roamed the Earth, and the same amount that will be available in the future for your own great-grandchildren to use. The second important concept is the term watershed, also known as a drainage basin. A watershed is the area of land around a river that collects precipitation for the river. The land collects water from mountain streams and groundwater and acts as a funnel by channeling it to the Boise River. To get a better picture of the Boise River watershed, we'll look at it from high above the earth. The outline of the Boise River watershed is defined by the high points of the land's topography. Our watershed is divided into an upper and lower portion. The upper part of the watershed is rimmed by the Sawtooth Mountains, which rise to over 10,000 feet elevation. Lucky Peak Dam divides the upper and lower watersheds and is located near where the Boise River exits its canyon and the Treasure Valley begins. The Treasure Valley is where most of us live. 1/3 of Idaho's population live in this valley, which also contains over 400 square miles of farmland. The Boise River is extremely important to the people and wildlife in the Treasure Valley because we live in a desert. The Treasure Valley only gets about 12 inches of precipitation each year, while the mountains get about 40 inches of precipitation each year. This means the mountains get about 3 times more precipitation than the valley. Most of the precipitation in the mountains falls as snow during the winter. This snow provides more than 75% of the water to the Boise River. Snow measurements can help reservoir managers and farmers know how much water to expect in spring when the snow melts, which helps them make wise decisions. So how do we measure the amount of snow in the upper watershed? The Natural Resources Conservation Service has 10 weather stations in the Boise River watershed. These weather stations are called snow tell sites, which is short for snow telemetry. Each snow tell site has a device known as a snow pillow that measures how much water is in the snow. The snow pillow is filled with a fluid that doesn't freeze, and it weighs the snow that piles up on top of the pillow. Since water weighs the same if it's a liquid or frozen, the snow pillow accurately measures how much water is in the snow. The snow tell measurements are used to predict how much water will flow down the Boise River during the spring and summer. Each snow tell site also measures snow depth, precipitation, and air temperature. give you an idea of how far water travels to reach your faucet, let's take a trip down the Boise River, starting in the mountains near the Trinity Mountain Snowtail site. Snow falling at Trinity Mountain will stay there until spring, when it melts and starts moving downhill to the Boise River. Once in the river, the water will pass through 3 reservoirs along the way. These reservoirs were built to store water for the summer and prevent flooding in Boise. Below the first reservoir, the river passes through beautiful canyons. The river is great for fishing, seeing wildlife, and whitewater rafting. The water stored in the reservoirs feeds the Boise River through the hot, dry summer and is used for many purposes. Some of it reaches your faucet, while other water is used to irrigate farmers' crops and to produce hydroelectricity. Much of the water stays in the river for fish and wildlife, and this water also provides a cool place to recreate for swimming, floating, and kayaking. So, the full answer to the question, where does your water come from? Your water comes from the Boise River, which gets its water from the precipitation that falls from the clouds and lands inside the WaterShed. Most of the water in the Boise River falls as snow in the mountains during the winter. The snow melts and runs downhill into the river. Along the way, it gets stored in reservoirs, and eventually, some of it makes it to your faucet. In conclusion, remember that since everyone depends on water and we don't ever get new water on Earth, we are all responsible for the way we use it. Do your part and don't waste the water coming out of your faucet, and never pollute water by dumping things like trash or chemicals into storm drains where it can reach the Boise River.